Yeah, hi.
Okay?
What?
I said, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, good, good. I just don't know your circumstances. We're trying to help moms here contemplating an abortion or pregnant. We have help for them. I don't know what your situation is, but there's a women's center right across the street. Free ultrasounds, free help. And
I see.
we're just here to help. I've got information that might, if you're interested.
Not really interested, thank you.
Okay, well, we just want the best. And like I say, there are moms who are conflicted. They don't have any support. They're being forced to do it, or, so we help them. And
Why is it any of your concern?
because babies are dying.
They're not your babies.
I know, but if somebody was
You know
killing-
what? There were like over 10,000 babies that were killed in Palestine.
Well, I know, but what if someone was trying to kill you? You're a human being. These are human beings. We can't help everybody. We'll help whatever we can. But right here, there's babies dying, several thousand a year. There should be 1,000 people out here protesting. Because if somebody was trying to kill you, you wouldn't say, oh, well, people dying. And you don't try to save me that people dying in Palestine. Your life is important. That baby's life is important. We're losing that in this country. Life is not worth what it is. People go around killing
Well,
children.
maybe it has to do with circumstances because, none of the people who care about abortion care about what happens after the child's born. They don't want to support them.
Oh, we
or
do. We have all kinds of support for them.
Okay.
During the pregnancy, they have a food bank over there. They have diapers, free diapers, free food, free. If you get a place to stay, or if they have a housing job, we help them with that. So that's a lie that the media. Yeah, I don't trust the media. Do you trust the media?
I trust what I can see.
Well, you got. I know you. I have to do my research, but you don't see, and they don't tell you about the help that's out there. Believe me, it's out there. I'm not lying about that.
I know it's out there. They've made it harder and harder for people to obtain it, and it's nearly impossible for some people to get it, even if they need it. My sister is one of those people. She works her butt off, and she's got 2 children, and she can barely afford to feed them because they keep taking away public health or public assistance. So why is it irresponsible to terminate a pregnancy if somebody has a health concern where it could terminate the mother's life as well as the child's? Why is it a problem if it...
Well, like I say, there are options.
They aren't long-term options, though. So if somebody hasn't got long-term options to support that life, nobody out here protesting is going to step in and help, right?
Yeah, we'll help them. Bring you over here.
So you're, instead of being here, you're running a daycare. You're helping.
There are people who are doing that.
You count on that. Do you believe that? Do you know for a fact that's happening?
The point is, what circumstances can justify taking an innocent life? That's an innocent life, and I agree there are all kinds of problems in your sister's situation. But what can justify me taking your life? You're a waste. You're not doing anything. You're arguing. I'm being facetious, but you're no good. Why can't somebody take your life? That's what you're saying. This baby is going to be too much of a burden. It's going to be, worth nothing to anybody. It's going to make life worse for somebody else. Well, why don't we just kill it? We're saying no. They're wonderful options.
No, I'm saying it's far more cool to bring a child into the world and then not have sufficient means to support that child. It costs probably close to $2.5 million to raise a child all the way to adulthood. Do you think most people can afford that?
You managed somehow. My parents didn't have anything near.
Okay, well, how old are you, and what generation are you from?
What generation?
Yeah, are you?
I'm in my 80s now. So.
Okay, well, it was a lot easier when you were a child for your parents to afford a home.
Sure? No, they didn't have any help.
Right, and there isn't enough help right now.
About my background and my situation, what I went through.
I'm
I
saying,
can tell you here and now, it's far, 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 far worse than anything that church sisters are experiencing now.
I
You
don't
don't
think,
have any idea.
and
what I
you
went
don't,
through.
and you don't know anything about my sister's situation,
I
and
do
you're
know,
passing judgment on that.
but you were passing judgment on mine too. But you
No,
have
I'm
no
saying
idea.
that your generation, people who are 80 years old,
Had
had,
it easier.
in general, they had more
We had
available to
more,
them.
we
You could,
had- oh my
you could
God.
afford to buy a house. You could afford to own a car. Do you know how expensive things have gotten now?
That's nothing to do with the.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with it. Have you been to the
and
grocery
so we
store
can
lately?
so we can kill a baby. We can kill somebody for that. And this is killing. We're
It's
saying,
not a baby until it's born.
Now that is wrong.
That's a fetus. It's a
Well,
fetus. It's not a baby
define
until it's
fetus.
born.
A fetus is a scientific term
A
for
fetus
human
is a
person.
cluster of cells.
A fetus is a human being at a certain stage of development, just like a teenager.
No, it's not.
There's what authority is that? That's the definition of it. Look in the dictionary. A fetus is a human being at a certain stage of development. It's a human person. That's the scientific definition of it. You don't have to believe that, but
Well,
science.
I don't have to believe a lot of the definitions of things. For instance, the definition of male and female. Apparently, our gender is determined at conception. But that's actually
The
also not true.
biology.
But that's also in the state law now, even though it's wrong. So they put that into the state law because our president said that that's the truth, even though it's like a middle school understanding of biology. That's not how it works.
Our president. No, I'm saying that. Okay, here's the definition: a separately identifiable, fully expressed human person comes into existence with the fusion of the genetic material from the mother and the father. It can happen in a petri dish outside the woman's body. It's a human being. It can happen in the natural way.
That's
What
your
elements
belief
of
of it,
those-
but the Bible doesn't say that's what it is.
It's the Bible. I'm telling
I mean,
you.
you're quoting Bible verses on your sign, so I assume you understand the Bible.
I'm not using the Bible as a source of science.
Okay,
I'm saying that's a philosophy.
right.
That's something to make people
So
think.
so you're
That's a gift.
cross-pollinating religion and philosophy and science. Okay.
No, I'm talking about pure science. Now, we can have another conversation about the Bible and science,
Okay.
but I'm just talking pure science. Now, what I said, can you refute any of that? Because that science says that the human being comes into existence with the fusion of the genetic material, no matter how it comes together. That fusion, once that happens, that is when a human being, that's when you came into existence. I can point to something on the roof and say, that's you.
I think you're missing the point of when conception happens, when consciousness happens. Those are all separate things.
Consciousness.
A human being that's dead, a corpse, is still a human being, yes? That's still a collection of cells. Even right after death, parts of that body are still producing biological function. But that's no longer a person, right?
Well,
it's a
not-
corpse.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, well, that doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't have a spirit. The spirit's passed on. At what point does the spirit enter the body when it's becoming a person as a fetus?
Now, we're not talking about that sort of thing. We're not talking about what that entity can do. You don't define somebody by whether it has whether I think it has a spirit in it. You can't define it by whether it can think as a human being or whether it can get a driver's license or whatever. We're saying that the human person, that entity, is in existence and it's developing. So you were there with that single cell. That's the human person. You were there, completely defined, not fully developed. Like I say, you can't get a driver's license. But everything was there. Nothing else
Well,
was
you
there.
understand that the state is trying to give those people birth and death certificates, the fetuses, before they're even at conception, that they should have a birth
The
certificate.
state is trying.
Yeah, they're trying to
I
currently put
wasn't
them.
aware. They're trying to give them a birth certificate before
Right.
conception.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm walking around with my wife. We just got married. We never had sex.
Yep.
So they're trying to give the person is going to be born.
Right, so that when you have an abortion, that it has to have a death certificate as well. That's what they're trying to do. That's in the State House right now. I go to the State House and I actually speak to the people there. So
how can they possibly give them
it doesn't make sense. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense
that's
that's being pushed out.
You go to the state, we should go there too and find out what's going on. I had okay, now they are trying to, they have passed things for the the way they pardon me, I didn't choose, but the way they treat the baby after it's killed here. They do want humane, it's called humane burial or humane treatment of
yes, that should be considered. I mean that.
Yeah, because it is a baby. The baby has died here, and it should be. You just missed the trash, the medical waste people that come and pick up the little babies' bodies in the little red containers. That's where they do it now. It's medical waste. Those babies. Well, anyway, it all falls or rises on when a human person comes into existence.
Mm-hmm.
We say that's what normally is called conception or fertilization. I call it the fusion of the genetic material. And if we believe that human beings, whether it's from the Bible or tradition or whatever, have special rights, that you have a value and a dignity and a worth far beyond anything, we should honor that. Like I honor you.
The Bible actually says that it's not a person until they have breath in their body, until they take breath. So when they are born.
Who says that?
The Bible.
Well, we're not talking about the Bible. There are other areas of the Bible, I think, where it says something different. It's not that there may be some references to breathing and everything, having your first breath, but there are other references. I knew you before you were born. I all of that.
Right.
But I'm just talking about the science.
Well, those are philosophically talking about the person's spirit. They're not talking about the cluster of cells that will become the human.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Cluster cells are a human. That's my point. I'm just talking about scientific evidence. The evidence is, the science is from fertilization onward, and then the philosophy where we say that entity has special value and dignity to us. And so what we're doing now is saying no to this class of people, just like people based on their skin color didn't have value, dignity, and worth, and so we could treat them differently. We're saying these people, because of their size and their location and their funny appearance, they're just a single cell, we can treat them differently. We can kill them just like we could these other people. And just like history, we've done that for...
Okay, well, what about the abortions for mothers, saving the mother's life? If the mother's life is in danger, if the child is non-viable.
Okay, well, let's say there is that case. There are very, very rare cases that the emphasis, in my view, should be on saving them both. If one of them dies, that's not an abortion. If the baby dies, that's not an abortion. I have heard of cases where a mother did give her life and made the decision to let, the doctors were warning, you're going to die if you don't do this and this. And she said, no, I'll take my chances. This baby is too important. We'll let nature take its course. If I die, so be it. If the baby dies. Now,
well, but there are cases where it's very most definitely going to kill the mother, such as ectopic pregnancy, where the egg implants on the wall of the fallopian tube.
Yeah, well, in the ectopic pregnancy, we've traditionally held that that's you have to remove the baby from
so an abortion can be justified in that case, because that is still an abortion.
that is, yeah. In that case, well, but further to that, I think there are some advances since, later advances that they can save the baby, reimplant it. The techniques are better now. But
yeah, because I mean, if you leave it there, the mother's not only going to lose her fallopian tube, she might lose her life. At the very least, she might lose her ability to produce children further, because her whole uterus could be gone, or it could just kill her entirely because she bleeds out.
Yeah.
So there are cases very commonly where an abortion is justified because it's not going to live. The mother also probably won't. So what is the sense in carrying on with it?
Yeah. I don't know what I would call that an abortion.
It's still an abortion. You still have to come to a place just like this, possibly get harassed by religious zealots who want to tell you that how to handle your body. And I don't think anybody, especially anybody who wasn't born with or has previously had a uterus, should be telling anybody else what to do with theirs.
But we can just tell people if it's a human being, you shouldn't be killed. I can say that.
I think there's a lot of places where human beings being killed seems to be just A-okay, and I'm not okay with it. But look at how we're treating immigrants. Look at how we're treating undocumented people. Well, we're shoving them in camps.
It starts with the respect for life.
There's no respect for those lives. Those are lives that already exist, that were already born, that were living their lives and contributing to society.
These lives already exist too. Well, I'm saying that it's a slippery slope. If you say this life is no good, then it's easy to jump to say that life looks different to me, and it's not legal, it doesn't do this, so we don't have to treat it as a human being. That's part of the same.
I mean, there's been cases where there's been forced sterilization of people that were in camps like that. So they're literally removing the ability of those people to reproduce.
That's horrible.
It's horrible. That's not okay. So, I would definitely look into the personhood at conception idea that they're putting forth in the State House is ridiculous, because to give a birth certificate to something that has not been born is really contradictory. I mean, to be born means to come forth from the mother's womb. So
there's a general meaning to be created, to be born. I could say
right, but it is a birth certificate. There's a record of birth. If you haven't been born yet, then you should not have a birth certificate.
I can't believe they haven't specified that it's when it's been conceived. But even how can they do that? They don't know.
Right. It's an assumption. It's a approximation of when the conception happened.
Any more information on what law that is?
Yeah, I can look it up. I was just talking with